It's 1994, and a young actor with long dark hair walks into a Hollywood studio. He's polite, soft-spoken, and humble. But behind closed doors, powerful executives are shaking their heads. "Don't hire him," they whisper. "He'll never make it big." That actor was Keanu Reeves. And those executives? They were dead wrong. But why did they say this? What made Hollywood's biggest decision-makers turn their backs on someone who would become one of the most beloved stars in the world? The answer will shock you. Let me take you back to where it all started. Keanu was born in Beirut, Lebanon, in 1964. His childhood wasn't easy. His father left when he was just 3 years old. His family moved around a lot, from Australia to New York, and finally to Toronto, Canada. Money was tight. Stability was rare. But young Keanu found something that made him happy: acting. In high school, he wasn't the best student. He struggled with reading because of dyslexia. Sports weren't really his thing either, except for hockey. He was pretty good at that. But when he stepped onto a stage, magic happened. His drama teacher noticed something special. Keanu had a natural presence. When he performed, people paid attention. Not because he was loud or flashy, but because he was real. At 15, Keanu made a bold decision. He dropped out of high school to chase his dream of becoming an actor. His family worried. His friends thought he was crazy. But Keanu knew what he wanted. The journey to Hollywood wasn't smooth. Keanu started with small roles in Canadian TV shows and commercials. He worked at a pasta shop to pay rent. Some nights, he ate cheap noodles for dinner because that's all he could afford. But he kept going. In 1986, he got his first real break, a role in the movie River's Edge. It was a dark, serious film about troubled teenagers. Keanu played a quiet, sensitive character. Critics noticed him. Casting directors started remembering his name. Then came Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure in 1989. Keanu played Ted, a goofy, time-traveling teenager who just wanted to pass history class. The movie was silly, funny, and became a surprise hit. Suddenly, everyone knew who Keanu Reeves was. Teenagers loved him. The movie made millions. He was invited to talk shows and red carpet events. Everything seemed perfect, right? Wrong. The whispers begin. Here's where things got complicated. Hollywood executives started talking. And what they said wasn't nice. "He's just a pretty face," some said. "He got lucky with a comedy movie for kids. He can't do serious roles," others claimed. "He's too wooden, too stiff. His acting range is limited," they whispered in fancy restaurants and studio meetings. The cruelest comment of all? "He's the dumbest person in Hollywood." Yes, actual executives called him dumb. They mocked the way he spoke slowly and thoughtfully. They made fun of his humble, quiet personality. In an industry full of loud, confident egos, Keanu's gentleness was seen as weakness. Major studios started avoiding him for big projects. When directors suggested Keanu for serious dramatic roles, producers would shake their heads. "Get someone else," they'd say. "Anyone else." One famous producer even told a magazine, "Hiring Keanu Reeves is a risk we can't afford to take." Can you imagine hearing that about yourself? Being told you're not good enough, not smart enough, not talented enough, by the very people who control your career? Most actors would have quit. Most people would have given up and gone home. But Keanu wasn't most people. Keanu didn't argue with the executives. He didn't give angry interviews or trash talk anyone on social media. This was before social media was even a thing. He didn't hire expensive publicists to defend his reputation. Instead, he did something radical. He focused on his work. In 1991, he took a role in Point Break, an action movie about surfers who rob banks. The studio was hesitant. "Can he handle action scenes?" they asked. "Can he be tough and cool?" Keanu trained for months. He learned to surf for real, not with stunt doubles. He did his own action sequences. He worked harder than anyone expected. When Point Break came out, it was a massive success. Audiences loved it. Keanu proved he could be an action star. But Hollywood executives still weren't convinced. "It's just one movie," they said. "A fluke." Then in 1994 came Speed. This was Keanu's big test. The movie was about a bus that would explode if it slowed down. It was intense, fast-paced, and required a strong leading man. The studio actually didn't want Keanu at first. They offered the role to other actors. But the director, Jan de Bont, fought for him. "Keanu is perfect," he insisted. "Trust me." Reluctantly, the studio agreed. But they set conditions. Keanu's salary was kept low, just in case the movie flopped. They prepared backup plans. Some executives privately hoped it would fail, just so they could say, "I told you so." The movie that changed everything. Speed hit theaters in June 1994. And something incredible happened. People loved it. The movie made over $350 million worldwide. It became one of the biggest action films of the decade. Critics praised Keanu's performance. Audiences couldn't get enough. Finally, Hollywood had to admit it. Keanu Reeves was a star. But even then, the doubts didn't completely disappear. Some executives still whispered, "He's just an action guy. He can't do anything deep or meaningful." Keanu heard these whispers. And once again, he didn't argue. He just waited for the right moment to prove them wrong. That moment came in 1999. The Wachowski siblings had written a complex, mind-bending script about a computer hacker who discovers reality is actually a simulation. The movie was called The Matrix. They wanted Keanu for the lead role of Neo. But the studio was terrified. The movie had a huge budget, over $60 million. The concepts were weird and philosophical. Many executives thought it would be a disaster. "Don't give Keanu Reeves this much money," some board members argued. "Don't put him at the center of such an expensive risk." But the Wachowskis refused to make the movie without him. They saw something others didn't see. They understood that Keanu's quiet intensity, his thoughtful presence, was exactly what Neo needed. After months of debate, the studio finally agreed. But they hedged their bets. They kept marketing costs lower than usual. They set modest expectations. Then The Matrix was released on March 31, 1999. And the world exploded. The Matrix wasn't just a hit. It was a revolution. The movie made over $460 million globally. It won 4 Academy Awards. It changed how action movies were made, with its groundbreaking special effects and wire-fu fight scenes. But more than that, it made people think. The story asked big questions. What is reality? Are we in control of our lives? What does it mean to be human? And at the center of it all was Keanu Reeves, playing Neo with a perfect blend of confusion, determination, and quiet heroism. Suddenly, those executives who had warned against hiring him went silent. The whispers stopped. The mockery ended. Keanu Reeves had become one of the biggest movie stars on the planet. But here's what makes this story truly special. Success didn't change who Keanu was. Staying humble. After The Matrix, Keanu could have demanded huge salaries. He could have acted like a diva. He could have gotten revenge on everyone who doubted him. He did none of those things. Instead, he gave away millions of dollars from his Matrix earnings to the costume and special effects teams. He said they deserved it more than he did. He took pay cuts to help smaller movies get made. He rode the subway to premieres instead of arriving in fancy limousines. Stories started spreading about his kindness. A woman's car broke down on the highway, and Keanu stopped to help her. He gave up his seat on the subway to a woman carrying heavy bags. He bought ice cream for a film crew on a hot day. The same executives who once called him dumb started calling him something else. A gentleman. A good human being. A rare kind of person in Hollywood. The tragedy behind the smile. Now, here's something most people don't know. While Hollywood executives were busy criticizing Keanu and doubting his talent, he was going through unimaginable pain in his personal life. In 1999, the same year The Matrix made him a superstar, Keanu's girlfriend Jennifer Syme was pregnant with their daughter. They were going to name her Ava. Keanu was excited to be a father. But in December, at 8 months pregnant, Jennifer gave birth to a stillborn baby. Their daughter never got to take her first breath. Keanu and Jennifer were devastated. The grief was overwhelming. Their relationship couldn't survive the heartbreak, and they separated. But they remained close friends, supporting each other through the darkness. Then, in April 2001, something even worse happened. Jennifer died in a car accident. She was only 28 years old. Keanu was destroyed. The man who had worked so hard to prove Hollywood wrong, who had climbed to the top of his profession, was broken inside. He took time away from acting. He rode motorcycles across the country, trying to process his grief. He attended therapy. He leaned on close friends. But he never talked about his pain publicly. He never used his tragedy for sympathy or attention. When reporters asked him about happiness, he gave a now-famous answer. "I know that the ones who love us will miss us." This deep understanding of loss and impermanence changed him. It made him even more compassionate, more present, more grateful for simple moments. After taking time to heal, Keanu returned to acting. But Hollywood had changed. Action movie trends had shifted. Younger actors were taking over. Some people wondered if Keanu's moment had passed. The Matrix sequels in 2003 were commercially successful, but received mixed reviews. Other movies Keanu made during this time didn't perform well at the box office. Whispers started again, different whispers this time. He's past his prime, some said. He's too old for action movies now. Keanu was in his 40s. In Hollywood, that's when many action stars start fading away. But Keanu had learned something important over the years. Other people's opinions don't define your worth. Hard work and authenticity do. So he kept working. He took roles in smaller independent films. He did voice acting in animated movies. He even directed his own film called Man of Tai Chi in 2013. And then in 2014, everything changed again. John Wick, the impossible success. Keanu was sent a script about a retired hitman whose dog gets killed, and he goes on a revenge mission. Most actors would have laughed at this premise. A movie about a man killing people because his dog died? It sounds almost silly, but Keanu read deeper. He saw that the dog represented the man's last connection to his dead wife. He understood the grief, the loss, the need for purpose. This wasn't just an action movie. It was a story about a broken man finding a reason to keep living. He said yes to John Wick. Once again, studio executives were skeptical. Keanu Reeves is 50 years old, they said. People don't want to see a middle-aged man doing action movies. This will flop. The budget was kept small, only $20 million. Marketing was minimal. The studio prepared for a quiet release with low expectations. John Wick opened in October 2014. And within days, something magical happened. Word of mouth exploded. People came out of theaters saying, "You have to see this movie." The action choreography was incredible. Keanu had trained for months in martial arts and gun techniques. The story was simple but emotionally powerful. And Keanu's performance was perfect. The movie made over $88 million worldwide, more than 4 times its budget. It became a cultural phenomenon. Suddenly, everyone was talking about Keanu Reeves again. But this time was different. This wasn't just about a successful movie. This was about respect. John Wick led to sequels. Each one was bigger and more successful than the last. The 4th film, released in 2023, made over $440 million worldwide. Keanu, now in his late 50s, was doing his own stunts, performing complex fight sequences, and looking better than actors half his age. He trained relentlessly, often working 12-hour days to perfect every movement. Directors and stunt coordinators called him one of the hardest-working actors they'd ever seen. Keanu doesn't just show up, one stunt coordinator said. He arrives months early to train. He learns everything. He respects the craft. Meanwhile, those old Hollywood executives who had warned against hiring him? Some had retired. Others had been fired. Many had been proven spectacularly wrong about numerous things throughout their careers. But Keanu had outlasted all of them. Not through arrogance or revenge, but through quiet persistence and undeniable talent. Why they were wrong. So why did those executives misjudge Keanu so badly? Why did they warn studios not to hire him? The answer is simple but important. They confused kindness with weakness. They mistook thoughtfulness for stupidity. They assumed that because Keanu was humble and soft-spoken, he couldn't be strong or talented. In Hollywood, where ego and loudness often get rewarded, Keanu's gentle nature seemed out of place. He didn't play the game. He didn't schmooze at parties or boast about his abilities. He simply did the work and treated people with respect. To many executives, this seemed naive. They thought actors needed to be aggressive, demanding, and self-promotional to succeed. When Keanu was none of these things, they assumed he would fail. They couldn't have been more wrong. Keanu proved that you can be kind and successful. You can be humble and powerful. You can treat people well and still become a superstar. Keanu's story teaches us something valuable, something we all need to hear. Other people's doubt doesn't determine your destiny. Those executives were powerful people in Hollywood, but they didn't get to decide Keanu's future. He decided that through his choices, his work, and his character. Success doesn't require you to become someone you're not. Keanu never tried to be louder, meaner, or more arrogant to fit Hollywood's expectations. He stayed true to himself, and eventually, the world came around to appreciating who he really was. Kindness is not weakness. In an industry known for backstabbing and ego, Keanu's genuine kindness made him stand out. Today, he's not just respected for his acting. He's loved for being a good human being. Persistence matters more than talent. Keanu faced rejection, mockery, and doubt throughout his career. He could have quit many times. Instead, he kept working, kept improving, and kept believing in himself. Today, Keanu Reeves is worth over $380 million. He's starred in some of the most successful and influential movies ever made. He's worked with the best directors in the world. He has millions of fans across the globe. But if you met him on the street, you probably wouldn't know he was famous. He dresses casually. He rides the subway. He sits on park benches eating sandwiches. He signs autographs for everyone who asks. He takes time to have real conversations with fans. There are countless stories of his kindness. He once bought a homeless man dinner and talked with him for hours. He gave away motorcycles to his stunt crew as thank you gifts. He takes massive pay cuts to help movies get made. He supports children's hospitals and cancer research charities, often anonymously. This is who Keanu Reeves really is. Not the dumb actor those executives claimed. Not the limited performer they warned against. But a thoughtful, talented, deeply kind human being who happens to be one of the best action stars of all time. Here's the most ironic part of this entire story. Those executives who warned against hiring Keanu, many of them would later beg to work with him. As he became more successful, those same people who had doubted him wanted him for their movies, their projects, their studios. Some of them publicly apologized. Others pretended they had never doubted him. A few even claimed they had discovered him or always believed in his talent. And Keanu? He worked with some of them anyway, because that's who he is. He doesn't hold grudges. He doesn't need revenge. He just wants to make good movies and live a good life. Maybe you're not trying to become a Hollywood actor. Maybe you're a student, or you're working a regular job, or you're chasing some other dream. But Keanu's story matters to you because we all face doubt. We all encounter people who don't believe in us, who tell us we're not good enough, smart enough, or talented enough. Sometimes these people are family members who think our dreams are unrealistic. Sometimes they're teachers who don't see our potential. Sometimes they're bosses who underestimate our abilities. Sometimes they're friends who discourage us because they're afraid of their own dreams. And sometimes the harshest doubt comes from inside our own heads. Keanu's story shows us that none of that has to stop us. The people who doubt you today might be proven spectacularly wrong tomorrow. The limitations others see in you might not exist at all. The success they say is impossible might be right around the corner. But only if you keep going. Only if you stay true to yourself. Only if you do the work, even when nobody's watching, even when nobody believes. Today, Keanu Reeves is 60 years old. He's still making hit movies. He's still doing his own stunts. He's still treating every person he meets with genuine respect and kindness. Those Hollywood executives who warned against hiring him? Most people don't even remember their names. But everyone knows Keanu. His story has inspired millions. Not just because he became successful, but because of how he became successful, with integrity, humility, and grace. He proved that nice guys don't finish last. He showed that talent and hard work speak louder than arrogance and self-promotion. He demonstrated that staying true to yourself is more important than fitting into someone else's idea of who you should be. The end. Or just the beginning. The story of Keanu Reeves and the executives who doubted him is really a story about all of us. It's about believing in yourself when nobody else does. It's about proving people wrong through action, not words. It's about success that doesn't come at the cost of your character. Those executives thought they knew what made a star. They thought they could predict who would succeed and who would fail. They were confident in their judgments and warnings. They were wrong about Keanu Reeves. And they might be wrong about you too. So the next time someone doubts you, remember this story. Remember the young actor with dyslexia who dropped out of high school to chase a dream. Remember the man who faced rejection, tragedy, and mockery but never gave up. Remember the star who stayed humble even when he reached the top. Remember Keanu, because his story proves that the people who doubt you don't get to write your ending. You do. And if you write it with hard work, authenticity, and kindness, just like Keanu did, it might turn out better than anyone ever imagined. The real question isn't why Hollywood executives warned against hiring Keanu Reeves. The real question is, what dreams are you going to chase, even when people warn you not to?